غير عند الغناء فاش يتقانوا الناس. إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. أنت يا الحنة مغلاك عليا ونديرك في ايدي ونمد ايديا.
I'm originally from Lower Montana.
From Minnesota. I've lived in Minnesota and Montana.
And I just think travel is so important.
But it's really my first time actually going out of the country.
This is my first time out of North America.
Yeah, I'm hoping for inspiration.
My name is Chandra Kinsler.
It's Chad Evans.
My major is architecture.
I'm Molly McDonald.
I'm drawing Nicolai.
Fine arts program is what I study here at MSU.
The moment I set foot in Morocco, I knew that we were fine.
During the trip in 2003 was the first time I saw the Ighrem, and I wasn't really thinking about working on it, but it kind of planted a seed in the back of my mind. And then again in 2006 we returned to Zawiya Hansal and worked with the North Face and Global Giving on a school restoration project in the village of Tagia. For that I thought it was time to do a bigger project, and immediately the idea of restoring the Ighrem for the community came to mind. The Ighrem is made of rammed earth architecture, which is a traditional type of architecture in Morocco, but not very traditional in this region. Most buildings are made from stacked stone. Once I started to learn the history of Ighrem in Berber villages and the important role that they played in the sustainability and future of the region, is when I decided that this was the perfect place to do the next project. Well, the Ighrem right now is kind of it's in a place of transition in the village. And Ighrem traditionally were fortified granaries where the families of the region would store their grain. And then in times of siege, the whole village was able to move into the building and fight off invading tribes, or as in the case of this Ighrem, the last time it was used as a fortification was in the 1930s against the French when they were occupying Morocco. From the beginning, the Ighrem has always been kind of the central building for the region. It's represented the community, it's represented the culture, it's represented their way of life. And now that Morocco is a much more stable country and in a time of peace, the community doesn't need the Ighrem in the way that it used to need it. So what's happening with Ighrem in Morocco is that they're only being used maybe to half of their potential. And having had some history and historic preservation, I knew that this building could be used to further the future of the community. Just because its original use is maybe dying out, it still stands as like a sentry on the landscape in the region, and it holds a major place in the residents' hearts, representing their culture. And so I spoke with the locals about the possibility of restoring it and using it for something that could advance their culture in the future. Together we decided that maybe the best adaptive reuse would be to keep half or 75% of the Ighrem still as a granary and use the other parts of the building for a regional library community center, which is really what this region needs, is some supportive education. Well, first I'd like to just talk about the importance of sustainability of the project. Whenever new projects are introduced in regions such as this, it's really important that the locals have ownership in the project, and also that the project is set up in a manner that it can sustain itself once the foreign money and support leaves. And that's the ultimate goal with this project. This project is really the Zawiya of Zawiya Hansal, and I've really tried to give ownership to the project in the fact that they're making decisions on what the building's going to be used for. They're the ones that are doing the restoration of it, and they really have the decision-making power to decide how best it's going to serve their community. And already right now, even in its dilapidated state, all the tourists that come through the region want to stop and tour the Ighrem. And our hope is that after the restoration is done, the tourists will be able to come to the Ighrem. They'll pay a small fee for a tour of the Ighrem. They'll get to learn about the history of the building, some history of the region. And this is our hope on how to sustain, the project after we've finished, the restoration, after we've finished the foundation of the library, that they really have a sustainable way to keep the project going into the future.
In our professional practice class, Chloe came to visit and give a presentation about the Ighrem project, and as soon as she was done, I was wanting to sign up for it.
And I sat there frantically taking notes because it just seemed amazing. It's kind of the stuff I want to do.
I was looking for a unique opportunity to obtain some credits to finish my film degree at Montana State University. So I went into the Office of International Programs, and there they told me about the Morocco project.
It's something that you can kind of get involved in and get your hands dirty and just sort of envelop yourself in the culture.
Helping them in this little part of the world, I think, helps more in the whole than building some really cool looking high-rise something or another in some big city.
The opportunity that was provided through MSU and the Office of International Programs was exactly what I was looking for.